Today we're going to hear all about the first ever influencer, Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart was America's first ever self-made woman billionaire, selling herself as a brand. But when your reputation is everything, so too is your livelihood. In 2004, Martha Stewart was sentenced to 5 months behind bars. In the courtroom, her daughter fainted. But how did we get here? Today I'm going to tell you all about the rise and fall of the Queen of Domesticity, Martha Stewart. Now, do either of you know anything about Martha Stewart?
Have we been introduced?
Yeah, I'll introduce you right now. Let me actually do that. As you know, that's actually great. What a podcasting pro. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Not Another Crime Podcast.
Don't speak until you're introduced.
I wasn't sure whether part of the fun of the show is guessing who the people are.
That's part of the fun. I don't put you in there at all. You probably know from the title there. I'm joined by two wonderful people because the great Georgia Love is off today. She has bronchitis. That's also my drag name, bronchitis.
Yes.
See what you've done
I
there.
see what I've done there. Yeah. I'm joined by the great legend, Tony Martin. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. And sitting in George's chair.
Yeah. The great Genevieve Morris. Welcome.
Thank you. Another G name.
Another G name.
And
got it covered.
Have you ever been the Bachelorette, Genevieve?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Several times, actually.
It didn't go to air.
Right.
But
you were too mean, I believe.
It was a hot time.
I'm trying to work out where we've all worked together, and of course, all roads lead to a little film called Fraud Festival. Remember that, Genevieve?
Fraud Festival. Was that ever finished?
It was. I believe.
Genevieve refused to watch it.
I remember seeing it on Channel 31 one night. And is it not available on Vimeo?
It is available. I think it's CTV Plus or something. I think it is. So basically, I made an improvised comedy film a while ago. It was before the novel Coronavirus.
Oh yes,
Was
not
it
so
really?
novel. Yeah, it was before the novel.
Wow.
Just before that.
Yeah.
And basically, it was pretty much the Fire Festival, but it happened in a very small town, and someone wanted to save the town. The great Wes Snelling, and he wanted to save the town for a bypass that was coming through the town. And Genevieve Morris played the marketing sister that came down, and then she accidentally released a poster of a festival, a mock-up of the festival poster that said, Lady Gaga, Kiki D, Elton John, David Grohl, and that was accidentally released, and they accidentally sold 400,000 tickets in a matter of moments.
And we should point out the budget of this film was $0.
$0. Yeah, that's right. I opened up my pockets and butterflies flew out. That was the budget of the film.
But it is like it's a mad world of Melbourne comedy, because there's no one who isn't in it, is there? Like
everyone's in
film.
it. Yeah, there's like a cast of about 40 people or something, and it took. I did it over, I think, about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and we did like 2-hour blocks at a time. You played Tony Maverick, who is the guy, the horrible guy that you've got a Bluetooth in the whole time. You're talking on your Bluetooth and talking to people at the same time.
Like, it's a real landmark for me being in that film, because for like 30 or nearly 40 years I've been playing sad old men, and now I don't need any makeup. Like, I was looking at going, I've finally become the character that I've been playing.
Funny.
Normally I've been, Warren Perso. I've got like, a moustache to make me look older than 30. Now it's just I've become those characters.
I've become those characters. Now, what is your experience with true crime? Do either of you have a connection to true crime at all? Tony, are you a true crime fan?
I don't really. I must have heard the ones that, Serial, the ones that everyone was mad for. But I listen to a lot of nerdish film podcasts, so I'm not up with Genevieve. Are you up with the?
She's played a cop a few times.
Played a cop. I could put a show reel together just called Cop Girl.
Cop Girl.
But so a lot of that's my connection to a lot of crime stuff, just playing a cop. And also a lot of my work on the door as people greeter at Bunnings.
Oh,
There's a lot of theft, my friend.
Oh, there would be.
How do they get past the security? What's the?
Well, there's no security.
Oh, there is no security.
So there's just
there you go. That's how.
You can't physically manhandle someone. So when someone walks out with a trolley with a barbecue on it, a brand new gas bottle, and they're on the gear, and you ask, "May I?"
You got a receipt?
Look at your receipt, check your receipt, and they just go, fuck off. off. And then you go, good-o.
Lowest prices just at the beginning. Fuck off.
Yeah. But I've been following I've been trying not to follow the mushroom.
Oh, Aaron
thing
Patterson,
as much
yeah.
Because I kind of also think, I don't know, if it was a bloke that did that, would we be as fascinated? Would we be as...
that's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. So there's a part of me that I'm very curious and very into it and then going, oh, but I don't know.
I think the biggest sort of talking point with the mushroom cook is, what is the telly movie going to be called? Because it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Channel
yeah.
9. I'm going with Death Lunch.
Death Lunch? Yeah, great.
What will it be? I
Aaron
remember
Patterson story.
when
Death Lunch.
Brant and Todd were down the mine in Beaconsfield. I remember we were like, what's the film going to be called? And I went with Shaft of Hope, but it was
Shaft of
called
Hope.
Beaconsfield.
Yeah, it was quite boring,
So
actually. Wasn't it?
surely-
Shaft of Hope is
Obvious.
nicer.
It'll just be called Mushroom Cook, won't it?
Mushroom
Yeah,
Cook.
yeah.
Who do you think would play her? Who do you think in the...
Well, Emily Tahini has expressed a lot of interest.
Has she really?
She sent me photos that aren't the most flattering of Emily, but they could be right for the role. But I've said you're going to have to fight it out with Mel Buttle.
Oh, Mel Buttle,
Right?
absolutely.
So-
yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
Mandy McElhenney?
McElhenney, yeah.
She's a possible.
She could, yep.
She's a possible.
absolutely.
I know a lot of people have been saying it's the role Magda was born for, but I think Magda's a bit old now. No
Yeah, yeah.
offence.
No.
Offense. I'm the
I
same
think she'd
age as
agree.
Magda.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Yeah. So I think, those three will have to battle it out.
Oh, I remember once Jen did a wonderful, wonderful film called Ride Like a Girl, and in there you were doing a Q&A after the show, and there was questions from people, and a guy put up his question and just said, Shane Bourne was in it for a very short amount of time. All right, thrill seekers, your world awaits. That's my Shane Bourne impression, only impression. But he put up his hand and goes, "Who was the guy in that one little scene?" And you just looked at him and went, "I'm not IMDb, mate." Just moved on, yeah, and just moved right along.
And was it Shane Bourne himself trying to draw attention to his role?
Who was that wonderful guy?
Oh, excuse me. Just a quick question for a second.
I did a few self-tapes with you, like I remember we did that self-tape for you
Yes.
to do that film.
Yeah.
And I was just, when you're just reading lines for the other person. I've done it a bit with Emily Tahini and
Yep.
you, where you just read the lines and everything, but I always love Tone, like after a while, to just message after you got the part and just go, did they say anything about me? The really bland line read. Did they say anything about me? Sam Neill got it, did he? Right.
Yeah.
I had to do one of those tapes for a friend of mine. I won't say who it is, but he's a man in his 30s, and he was going for one of the Time Bandits. The title.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you audition for that?
No.
He's going for, I think, the leader of the Time Bandits, and the role went to Phoebe from Friends.
Oh, wow.
What's her name? Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah, I'm going.
Wow.
They obviously had a very wide brief.
That's a sidestep.
But
That's so
I always
funny.
remember Judith Lucy said that she auditioned for a role in Son of the Mask. Remember The Mask with Jim
Yes.
Carrey?
Yeah.
But
The follow-up.
But they did a sequel shot in Sydney with, I think, Jamie Kennedy. So it was like, down a couple of...
Equal to Jim Carrey.
Exactly. But sorry, Judith went for this role, and they said, we will change the lines because it's actually written by it's written for an elderly Pakistani gentleman.
Was it just change it a bit? Just tweak it. A few tweaks on the spot. If you could just do a few tweaks on the spot.
So I don't know. Do you get much of that, Genevieve? Do you go?
No, but I do have a lovely little anecdote about when I did these ANZ Bank. I was the
Barbara from
the
Bank World.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, you were.
But when they were casting that, they were casting a male bank
Right.
manager, male bank
Yes.
manager. All my mates went for it.
Right.
And then the director said, "Could we try some women?" Crazy idea, I know.
To put this out there.
Yeah.
Apparently they have them now.
They have them.
They can work
Yeah.
now.
And they sometimes get senior roles.
Oh, my
And
God.
there you go.
I was
So,
dating
yeah.
a girl who worked at ANZ, and I remember Jen meeting her for the first
Oh,
time, and Jen
yes.
just leaned forward and go, "Do you know who the fuck I am?" It's Barbara from Bank World. You're sitting there, can you believe your luck?
No idea. She'd never seen the ads.
Do you get to the front of the queue if you go to the bank?
Oh, shit, yeah.
She just pushes forward anyway.
That one bank that still exists. One human bank.
Oh, I'm still going to I still have a passport.
You got a pass. Of course you have.
Of course you have.
Mate.
People always say, do the people at the bank find you annoying because you still have a passport? There's a lot of us. There's a lot of pensioners.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they actually enjoy it because they get to use the old skills.
Different.
The blacklight signature, the machine.
The nostalgia
the
of it.
chattering machine.
Yeah.
Occasionally
so
it'll print over the previous entry, so then they have to write it in pen. They love doing that.
Yeah. They see you coming.
That's right.
And they're very happy about it. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk all about Martha Stewart. Now, I did ask the question before I didn't introduce you.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Martha Stewart? Jen, what's your...
Well, I know that she's a famous
homemaker
TV,
and
homemaker, cook, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Then she had a bit of a thing with, not rude stuff, with Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg,
more recently.
They became good friends.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
Not that much about it. I mean, I did vaguely hear the jail stuff, but never really knew what it was about.
Yeah. What about you, Tone?
Well, I have a weird connection to this story because...
she's got a passport as well.
I was actually, because you mentioned 2004, she was sentenced.
Yes.
I was in New York in 2004 and went to see the producers on the stage with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick.
It's on Broadway.
Wow.
There was the original cast, and they'd come back just to do 6 weeks, like a revival.
Oh, but George will be so happy you're talking about this, by the way.
I'll do a song if you want. And so we're sitting in the audience, and it was that exact day that Martha Stewart had been found guilty.
Wow.
Really?
So Nathan Lane just goes off on a tangent about that because, the end of the
show.
Well, the end of the show is they end up in jail.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's prisoners of love. I'm not going to do it. I think you'll have to pay copyright if I was to do
No,
it.
you can do. I think you can do up to 30 seconds, I'm pretty sure.
But apparently they would often improvise only in the scene where it's just the two of them. So I think it's the scene in Bialystok's office.
Yeah.
And so Nathan Lane goes off on a whole tangent about, Martha Stewart. And he's improvising, and no one was laughing at the front. He goes, we have the Bush Re-Election Committee here. He's doing all this Borscht Belt style gear. And then at the end he goes, time to hammer up the fourth wall again.
Oh, that's
and
so
then goes
funny.
back into it. And I think I heard that I hadn't heard that news, so I think I got that news
From Nathan Lane.
from the producers. And then the other thing is I reckon I have seen more of Anna Gasteyer on Saturday Night Live playing Martha Stewart in piss takes than I have of the real... I'm not sure that I've ever seen the real Martha Stewart. I just know the sketches where people play her.
I think in Australia we haven't had a huge understanding of who Martha Stewart is.
No,
but she's huge in America.
I'm a big fan of the Channel 33, the food show,
cooking
shows, and she has been on that quite a bit. So I would, and she's just so zen. So
There's a great documentary about her on Netflix as well, which is so interesting and great to watch. But so anyway, I'll get into the story today, and I will teach you both all about Martha Stewart.
Thank you.
Whether or not you want to.
We'll be doing some crafting as well.
We'll be doing some crafting, yeah. You've got your crafternoon tables in front of you.
I've got the timer on with the oven, so you're smelling those. They're coming out soon.
Martha was a household name synonymous with lifestyle, cooking, and home decor. I think you'd say the same about me today.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. And then Martha became embroiled in a high-profile legal scandal in the early 2000s. The case centred around allegations of insider trading. Bizarrely, we were all just talking about insider trading before over a coffee.
Probably best not to say who we
No,
were
let's not.
talking about.
No, let's not do that. And we'll also say allegedly. Gets us out, I think. Though the financial impact was limited, the case had significant repercussions and reputational consequences and remains one of the most prominent white-collar crimes in US history. This is a story, I think, I might be wrong here, of image and perception. I always like to say I might be wrong here. Right. Martha presented an image that I think a lot of people, most likely men, were uncomfortable with. A powerful, powerful woman who didn't bow down to what people wanted her to be. Okay. Martha didn't want to be nice. She was a businesswoman and she had ambition. Now, there's a very famous case, a murder case, Amanda Knox. You know the Amanda Knox
Yes.
case, and she was not in the media kind of someone that they thought she was. She didn't act in the way that people wanted her to act, and she wasn't crying. She wasn't emotional in a way, and everything.
Sort
I think
of Lindy Chamberlain
kind
style.
of like Lindy Chamberlain style, and I think Martha Stewart is kind of the same. She's not the warmest person, and I think in a way that was kind of a bit of her undoing as well. She wasn't kind of what people
I
wanted
know
her to
most of these cases from the menu on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think
You just browse them.
Just read the little. Yeah.
Just read the blurb. Martha Stewart was born Martha Helen Kosterer in New Jersey, New York City in 1941. She loved gardening from a very young age, and she was really good at it. She used to spend all day gardening with her five siblings in a middle-class Catholic family. Her mother was a teacher and her dad was a pharmaceutical salesman. Martha later stated her mum taught her everything: sewing, baking, all the household tasks. I also like saying everything and then name two things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying.
Like
Covers
sick of
it,
my
it
list.
just covers it.
I'm trying to remember if my mum taught me any of those things.
Any of
I
those
don't-
handy things?
Don't think so.
Well, maybe this is another thing that she was taught. Martha's dad taught all the children the value of self-sufficiency. He'd teach his students how to catch muskrats and sell their fur.
Right.
Wow.
It's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just realised all my mum really taught me was how to arrange a divorce, because she was very good at that.
Very good at that. Her father was an alcoholic and struggled to keep a job down. He was also known for having a fiery temper. Martha always knew as a teenager she didn't want to be a stay-at-home mother. She had other ambitions in life. She would babysit for 50 cents an hour, do odd jobs to earn money, and also did catering for a high school football team in her early teens.
Wow.
A lot of ambition right
Yes.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do babysitting or anything for odd jobs and everything, Jen? Did you do any
I
of
did
that?
a bit
Yeah,
of,
you did that?
bit of this,
Yeah.
yeah, a bit of babysitting.
Bit of babysitting.
yeah, that's about
Catching
it.
muskrats?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I was-
Normal stuff.
I was just working at a fruit sorting department at an orchard. And I got my finger caught in a conveyor belt. That's all I can remember about
That's all
that.
you can remember from your early teens.
I think the police were called to free my finger from the machinery.
And your mum taught you the valuable lesson again of divorce.
Going, why can't I do some babysitting? I was too weird. I was a nerd.
Too
No one wants
weird.
a nerd.
No.
to
Babysitting.
babysit. When Martha was 13, she got a job modelling clothes in department stores, which helped with her family's income. She would earn $15 an hour, so a lot better than the 50 cents an hour for babysitting. Martha had the it factor, very different from the IT factor.
Yes.
She wanted to break out of New Jersey and secured a scholarship to study in private college in New York City. She was also moving up in the modelling world. She got a Chanel gig and started to appear on TV. So she's a real mover and shaker. I also like to say New York City is, and you know this reference, Tony, New York City. That's, I believe, Matt Berry. That was my impression of Matt Berry from...
Mine is just, yes.
That's very good, actually. That's very good.
I enjoy it when he refers to John Hamm as, I loved you in The Mad Man.
Have you seen Toast of London, Jen? You
No,
would
so
love
you
it.
haven't?
Yeah, I think I've
Yeah,
told you
okay,
about it
you
before.
have,
You would
yeah.
love it. Martha was always anxious about money. This spurred her on constantly. Even though she had lots of things going on, she also wanted to work at a department store and got a job cooking for two elderly ladies. She quickly discovered she could cook almost anything.
Wow.
I can't do that, but
No.
I'd love to be able to. A fellow student at college thought Martha was great and asked if she'd like a date with her brother Andrew. Martha had known that this girl got dropped off every day in a Rolls Royce, and Andrew was a Yale law student.
Right.
Now, in 1961, they're still at college. Andrew proposes to Martha. He was desperate to get married. She makes her wedding dress herself with her mother.
Oh, crafty.
Isn't that nice?
Crafty,
yeah, very
yes.
crafty. Yeah, and you two, of course, are
sister
making one
made
now.
her- my sister and my mum, they're very.
Yeah,
My mum's no longer with us, but gee, they could sew.
yeah,
Yeah,
Did you ever
that's
sew?
right.
A little bit.
A little
you know,
bit, but
like,
not-
yeah,
yeah.
just I'm a bit crappy. I'm a bit like I do it not very well, and then say because it's rustic.
yeah.
Yes, everything's rustic.
Everything's drastic.
Yeah.
My mum, when she wasn't getting rid of husbands, was someone people would come to with an expensive piece of clothing, and my mum would make a counterfeit version of it.
Counterfeit
wow.
version,
you know,
really?
like
She was kind of like
knockoff.
someone in the lanes of Hong Kong.
Exactly.
but trapped in a
Yeah.
New Zealand woman.
Someone would borrow a fancy dress from
Wow,
someone
she
and take
could-
it to my mum, and
Yep.
then she'd do
Oh,
a
that's
pattern
She could
for
do the
it.
pattern.
Yeah.
She was a dressmaker.
Oh, that's a great dressmaker.
And the most boring time of being a kid for me was being dragged around like Spotlight.
Fabric shops.
Fabric
yes, me
shops.
too. Can you? I can still hear the
Pinking shears,
picking. She's in there.
bolts of fabric being pulled down from
fucking
shelves.
hell, I
Hey,
wanted
can't
to
we go to
top
the
myself.
newsagent so I can look at the comics?
Yeah.
No, there's
We're
more
we're
fabric.
looking through the
measuring
patterns
fabrics.
and the pattern books. The big pattern books.
So boring.
After graduating, they quickly have a daughter and are living in New York. Martha's daughter, Alexis, later described her as a pretty hands-off mother and joked that she had a hot glue gun pointed at her head from an early age. That's a good joke. That's fine. Yeah.
It is.
Martha is eager to get back to work. This was not her dream to be a stay-at-home mother. She had no interest in this at all. While Andy was off at work, Martha takes Alexis with her looking for work.
And to fabric shops.
To fabric shops, to heaps of fabric
Dragging
shops.
her around.
Her father-in-law was a stockbroker and got her a job. She said she found this area of work really fascinating, building up a business from the ground and had been interested in money. She was the only woman at the firm she worked at. She said she leant into it, putting her feet up on the desk like the boys.
Yeah, go you.
It was really uncommon for women to work in the stock market at the time. Martha was really good at it and she stood out. I love the idea of a man who's just putting your feet up on the desk. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
She said it was a hard time living in New York at the time with men being creepy perverts. My words, not hers. Everyone laying their hands on you and martinis for lunch.
Thank God
single
we've
day.
moved on.
Yeah. Everyone's great now.
Yeah. Gee, they were crazy times.
What era is that? The
So that
60s
now-
still? Or?
It's
The
still
60s,
60s.
yeah.
So it's like
yeah.
mad. It is like the madman.
Yeah, it is like the madman.
Man.
This is late 60s, isn't it? Yeah. A wild time, but Martha did really well in this area. She was able to adapt to her surroundings. Now, in the late 60s, she was making $135,000 per year.
Wow.
Which I think is close to $1 million now.
Yeah.
Yeah. After 7 years, she quit just before the 1973 recession, which we'll remember, of course.
Yes.
Big fans
Oh,
of that.
yeah, me
One of my favourite recessions.
Oh, I remember going to prep that day and just worrying.
Everyone had flared pants on.
Yeah.
That's right. Feet up on the desk. She was burnt out and only 30 years old. She wanted to sell things she found fun. Not stocks. She wanted to sell fun things. Maybe stockings.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Do you like that?
I saw that.
I've done some fun stuff so far.
Yeah,
I'm having some fun
yeah.
up
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm having some fun up here tonight.
Yeah.
Been saying that a lot on stage recently. I'm having some fun up here tonight when it's going really badly. I'm having some fun up here tonight.
I'm trying some new stuff. Yeah.
Andrew and Martha found their dream home in rural Connecticut, just north of New York.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely. They found a huge rundown farmhouse in a fancy neighbourhood. The farmhouse has a street name. It was Turkey Hill. This is when she started to become the dream homemaker. She tackled all of the refurbishments herself. They expanded the farm with gardens and more buildings. There's also a smokehouse for her to cure her own meats. God. She got beehives and planted her own produce. I love just a smoke room to... There's a book behind you that... Not Deadly Kerfuffle Tone, but you'll see that there as well. That's your book. But
Is
there's
my book up there?
yeah, of course. There's a book there called Deadly. No, it's not called Deadly. It's called A Present Affair, and it's a woman who a friend got it for me. It's so funny. It's just different wrapping, like how to wrap different presents and everything. And she opens the book by going, "You simply must have your own wrapping room in your home."
I thought you were going to say that if I reached round and pulled that book, the shelf would swing open and there was a secret room for curing meats.
For curing meats. I thought that's what that smell was in this small apartment. Martha stayed at home to work in the house while Andrew would commute into the city to work in publishing. And anyway, she started her own catering business in the meantime called Uncatered Affair with an old friend, Norma, from their modelling days. They would go into a client's home, taking their own stuff, do all of the decorating, and to make it look like the host had actually prepared the meals themselves. So they go and do it really quickly and then leave.
Yeah.
Uncatered Affair starts out small, but Martha wants it to go bigger and bigger. Norma later said, I was happy doing parties for 10 or 12, and if it wasn't 1,000, it wasn't good enough for Martha. Martha wanted to expand. The business was doing great, and Martha was actually taking on extra work without telling Norma. Norma overheard Martha talking to Andrew in the kitchen one day saying, I deserve to keep more than her because I work harder and I'm more talented. Norma walked right into the kitchen and said she'd finished working that dinner party, but after that, she was done.
Oh, she was done.
She was done. She was
Fair
out.
enough
She was
too.
done. Yeah, fair enough. So Martha decided she should go out on her own, and in 1977, she rebranded the business Martha Stewart Inc., and it took off, catering to 15,000 people at a time.
Wow.
It's a pretty big 1977 as well. That's huge. Yeah.
What were you doing in 1977, Genevieve?
That would have been, I'm going to say grade 5-ish, 77, 78, 79. Yeah,
What were you
grade
doing grade
5.
five?
I would have been peaking. I
Yeah.
think I wrote
Working the
my
stock
own
market.
little production.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I think we only did it for the class, but, we had high hopes
Yeah,
of
what
doing
was
it
it
for the whole
called?
school. Well, it was an adaptation of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's fun.
And
You played every role?
all of the roles.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty
Casting
much.
was brutal, but you got there.
I got there.
Was it an early version of the picture of Dorian Gray with a lot of
I think-
multimedia?
Yeah, we just had a whole lot of like, those Instamatic cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
'Cause they were,
Instamatic.
and then you'd have to wait in the audience for 2 weeks for the other films to be sent away
Yeah.
to the chemist to get
like a
the
stop
photos
motion.
developed, and then you'd pay. Yeah,
Yeah.
very similar.
What about you in 1977?
I would have been going to see Star Wars 4 times in 1 week. I remember that's what I think of 1977. And yeah, I'm trying to think school plays. I wasn't in this production, but I've talked about this many times. There was a production of Hamlet at my school where someone stole one of the swords. So how do you stage a sword fight with one sword?
Oh dear.
That's the most pathetic thing I've
One
ever
hand
seen.
clapping.
It was one person in the wings with a broom, and then tink, 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 and then that person goes into the wings, and then they swap over. The other person comes out, tink, 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 tink. The
Now that's just
saddest
fun.
thing I've ever seen.
Oh, that's
the big budget.
Yeah.
In 1980, at one of her husband's publishing events, another book publisher approached her and said she should write a book. Martha envisioned.
Oh, it's
I'll say
always
that. It's hard.
trip
hard
me
one.
up, that one.
Martha envisioned a book that would be more than just a simple cookbook. It would take you from cooking at home for a friend all the way to cooking for a wedding. The book, Entertaining, I love how simple it is, Entertaining, was published and it was huge. It was packed with full colour photographs, which wasn't a done thing at the time. It sold 250,000 copies.
Wow.
So yeah, the full colour photography apparently wasn't a thing at the time.
Yeah,
in
you
a
look at those
cookbook.
old cookbooks. It's
Yeah.
not even a photo. It's not even a sketch.
No, who's the big one now? Stephanie, what's the...
Oh, move
Stephanie.
on.
All right,
Yes,
sorry about that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hello Fresh, her name is.
Yeah.
Martha goes on the road giving demonstrations and talking publicly about her new success, saying, I didn't not expect it not to be a hit.
I didn't not
Yeah.
expect it not to be.
So
a
she
hit.
expected
Yeah,
it to be
okay,
a hit,
could
yeah.
have said that more
That's a
efficiently.
quintuple negative. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Martha said, I think it was to make housewives, homemakers understand that what they were doing on a daily basis was something to be commended,
Aye, go girl.
applauded,
Yeah.
looked at with happiness rather than looking at working around the house as housework. I started looking at it as homemaking. Martha wanted her readers to feel special and to make something special from home. Everything she made was attainable. It was simple but elegant.
And if you went to the back of this book, so there's an index and it would have recipes and
Yeah.
homemaking.
Homemaking.
We have insider trading.
It would have, yeah, that's the final one,
Is that
insider
happening
trading.
yet, or we're still a
That's
fair
still
bit
a little
off?
bit away.
Okay.
Yep. Behind the scenes, there was some controversy. There was a ghostwriter by the name of Elizabeth Hawes who wasn't initially given full credit.
Sorry.
That was good.
Can't even.
Hawes.
Oh, Hawes.
You doing an impression? No.
No.
I won't do that. Hands off that one.
Yep.
But Martha kept going, publishing a new book every year. When Andrew was once asked if Martha was ever going to slow down, he said, "Martha is going to be as big as McDonald's, and we're not giving any of it away." I love that. I don't know if that's a dig on charity or not. We're not giving away anything. There's no Ronald McDonald House for us.
Correct.
But yeah, huge to be ripping off other people's recipes at the start and not giving credit for that.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, I always just think, I mean, I don't know a lot about recipes and cookbooks, but surely there's only a limited number of them.
You'd think so. Yeah, lemon chicken. End of the list. Lemon
Got your
chicken.
bolognese.
Got your chicken chow mein.
Ham and cheese toasty.
And you got your pavlova.
You got your pavlova.
I mean, it
the big
must
ones.
be hard coming up with new
I
recipes.
think so.
Surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just add
Yeah.
Flour.
pine nuts.
Add
Pine
or-
nuts.
You know,
No,
like
yes.
you just go, oh, beef Wellington with salami. You know?
With
Hasn't-
salami.
Hasn't beef Wellington been ruined now?
Yeah, I'm so wanting to make one though. I have never made one. And
I saw you foraging in the field before.
Yeah. All right, shush up.
Shush up. There were accusations that Martha was plagiarizing recipes. She ended up later attributing these people in later editions. So she did, as there was controversy, she went, okay, yeah, I stole that. I stole that one. In the 80s, she published many more. She launched a newsletter, sold a line of cookware, and hosted 3-day lectures at Turkey Hill, costing $900 to attend, not including accommodation. I couldn't think of anything worse than you going in someone else's house for 3 days while they're showing you them going, all right, see ya. Don't linger. Don't hang around.
That like, I might have my things all mixed up. Never happens, but it might happen. Is that Martha's Vineyard? Like, is that...
So that's Martha's home, Turkey Hill. Yeah. So
but is Martha's Vineyard
what is
to do with
Martha's-
Martha Stewart?
Yeah.
Or nothing
Oh,
to do
no,
with
I don't
it?
think it is. No,
No,
I
no.
don't have got anything in here.
Yeah,
but
cool. No worries.
Call in if you want. We'll
Is
wait.
it Martha Washington?
Yeah, it's
maybe, or someone?
Martha
I'll look it up.
Brown.
We can do it. I'll do a fact check after and find out what
That's just a
Martha's
different-
Vineyard is.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Martha then stopped her. Martha then stopped her catering business and had her sights set on television. In 1986, she aired her TV special, her PBS special, Holiday Entertaining with Martha Stewart. She's got simple names for everything. I like it. She's serving pumpkin soup from an actual pumpkin.
Oh, an actual pumpkin.
She's wearing pastels and looks like
Yeah.
an all-American success story. She's building an empire, getting sponsorships, and realizing what a commercial vehicle she is. At that time too, cracks are starting to show and people are saying how hard she is to work with. People are feeling abused by her and she was becoming widely known for being a difficult boss.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres. Behind closed doors, just a cough from you. You didn't say
Yeah,
anything.
that's nothing.
Behind closed doors, Andrew and Martha had become more colleagues and lovers, and Martha found out that her husband was having an affair with someone who worked for her doing her flower arrangements. She's got a big list of people if you've got someone
whiz.
doing your flower arrangements.
Exactly.
I've got a choreographer working for me full time.
It's great work.
Yeah, it's great. Some of the great work. Martha had invited this woman to live on her property. She confronted this girl and kicked her out.
Was that in the show, one of her episodes? Because that would be
That would be
That'd be
amazing.
good.
A
Just
real
have
confrontation moment from the flower girl. Martha had admitted to knowing about other affairs and even came forward about having one of her own. But this one felt personal. It could not have been worse. She had just released her own new wedding book and was on tour to promote it at the time that her marriage was falling apart. On the plane, she wrote, "I have to go to San Francisco to talk about weddings and my wonderful life. I hope you enjoy your freedom and I hope my plane crashes."
Oh, wow.
It's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah.
Martha and Andrew divorced in 1990 and have never spoken since. Andrew actually took a restraining order out on Martha, forbidding her to ever talk or go near him again. He said that she had been verbally abusive and even grabbed him a couple of times in public. She made phone calls to his family and vilified him. This is all between the couple, and Martha has denied any of these claims. There were more and more complaints about her at the time. She allegedly slapped a Today Show staff member because she didn't like the set of her segment.
Fair enough.
We've all done that. We've all been there. Yeah. An ex-gardener tried to sue her for withholding pay, and she even had a go at fans too. So after she was criticised for leaving an event without signing all of the books that she was meant to sign, she ended up responding publicly saying, "I promise I'll think long and hard before I accept another invitation to your chilly and downright unfriendly city again." Isn't that brutal to write that? Yeah.
It's great to turn a whole city against you.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always a good career move. So is all of this, all of these little niggles and fights, and is this all in the Netflix show?
This is all, a lot of it is in the Netflix show.
And this is a documentary. It's not like someone playing it.
No, this is an actual documentary. It's really interesting.
Popping it on the list.
Yeah. And it's really interesting as well. There is one really funny part where she does talk about like her husband was having an affair at the time, and then she kind of just goes, "I had one too, but he was having an affair." It's just great. Martha threw herself into her work. She had her eyes set on success. In 1997, she was close to becoming a millionaire, but it was her next big deal with Kmart that really sent her into the stratosphere. Kmart had been in trouble at this point and wanted to shake things off with their previous image and hire celebrities to lift their brand. They wanted to include Martha's personal brand. Her 5-year home brand was signed. She was a consultant making $200,000 a year and $90,000 for personal appearances. And we know how good she is with personal appearances after she slagged off that whole city before. Martha was a member of a country club who, because of her ties with Kmart, asked her to leave because they thought Kmart would lower their image.
Is that right?
Isn't that wild? On David Letterman, Martha defended her deal with Kmart, saying, "Everybody shops at Kmart, and there are 77 million people a month. They want beautiful things too, and I'm trying to get really gorgeous things into the store."
Wow. And that was that the 80s?
That was, so that's...
that's 90s.
That's 90s. This is 1997, yeah. The deal ended up being worth $5 million over 5 years. So how does Martha Stewart then become a billionaire? Martha is well on her way. She almost has the monopoly over the homewares brand. She launches Martha Stewart Living, a new publication from the same publishers as Time magazine. You might have heard of it. Not me. Living had 2 million subscribers, one of the fastest growing magazines of all time.
Oh, remember magazines?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't we love magazines?
Yeah.
What ones did you get?
Oh, I wasn't a big,
weren't a big
but like when
magazine.
I was younger, Dolly magazine.
Did you read Dolly Doctor? You learn a lot from Dolly Doctor?
Shit,
yeah.
What
I
about-
don't think it was an actual doctor, but I'll have to check that.
What about smash hits? Australian smash hits?
Oh,
Did you
yeah, a
have
little
that?
bit of that.
What was yours, Tone? Did you like Empire magazine?
I think I had the very first issue of Empire magazine, and then discovered recently that that's now quite valuable. And also, when I was a kid, I had the first issue of 2000 AD, and I think I might be getting this wrong. Nerds will correct me if I am, but I think I saw maybe Adam Richard, the comedian Adam Richard, saying that if you have that issue, it's like about £20,000.
Really?
So I go,
Oh, no.
that just went out to the bins.
Oh, no.
But yeah,
We can still find
Empire and Movie Line.
Yep.
That was a good one. And Premiere. Those were the three I used to get in the 90s.
I got Mad magazine. I love Mad
I
magazine. It
remember
was
my
so
brother
funny.
getting that. So funny.
But did you ever get Cracked?
No, I never got Cracked. No.
Cracked was the Rolling Stones to Mad's Beatles.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Did they have a Spy versus Spy sort of equivalent? Did they have a...
I can't remember, but they poached Don Martin. Remember Don Martin was the big... most famous artist at Mad, and then he went over to Crack.
Oh, wow.
That was a big deal.
Real controversy.
That was a big controversy at my school.
Martha actually... in 1993, another TV show, Martha Stewart Living, she takes over that as well. So she's doing a lot of different stuff at the time.
These are the shows that I would see sketches of.
Yeah.
Saturday
And
Night
we
Live.
wouldn't sort of get, get as much out
I
of it.
don't know who they're playing, but you can guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Time worried that it would draw people away from the magazine, so she sets out to buy her magazine back from Time. She pays around $50 to $80 million.
She borrowed that from me.
Borrowed that from you. By 1997, she owned everything outright. Days after she had full control, she said she was eager to make it a public company, selling shares on the New York Stock Exchange. It would be people buying shares in Martha herself. So she was the image. In at that time, her revenue was $180 million. Investors were a little hesitant to buy in, though. Martha was the sole brand. Everything depended on Martha running the company. With a regular company, another CEO might take over, but for this, if anything happened to Martha, it would all be over. What happened if Martha was hit by a bus? So people were really worried about buying into a company that was all about that one person. Yeah.
And also imagine being her, imagine being someone like that where you've got a massive company and all this money coming in and you're just going, I need to think of something new with balsamic vinegar. You've got to come up with new recipes.
Beef Wellington and salami again. Can't do that again, not this month.
Done that.
An unauthorised biography was released that paints Martha as a mean person. She spoke in a condescending tone to people and was a really hard person to work for. So these are continued rumours that continue around the time. October 19th, 1999, Martha steps out in a long black coat in New York City. And she looks good. Let's just say that.
She would.
Yeah. It's the day of her IPO. She is confident and serves freshly squeezed orange juice and brioche to the trade people.
As you do.
The public offering is about to be launched. Her company is now public. The bell rings. It opens at $18 a share. Applause erupts. In between, of course, people eating brioche. The stock skyrockets. It goes up to $38 a share. She is getting richer by the minute. Martha is super excited. Martha Stewart Living is now a public company. She is now the first ever woman self-made billionaire. It happened in a matter of seconds. She made the Forbes billionaire list for the very first time and even $1 billion after the IPO. She spoke about having a brand... she spoke about having made a brand about a living person. It was quite remarkable. She was invited to join the board of New York Stock Exchange and to be on the Revlon makeup company board, which is huge for anyone. She is now 58 years old.
At that stage.
At that stage.
Not now.
No, not now.
Because I'm 50.
Yeah. No. At this stage.
That
doesn't add up.
Yep.
Her success depends on her reputation more than ever. In 2001, so this is when it all kind of comes crashing down. Right. In 2001, Martha received a somewhat innocuous call from her stockbroker. He advised her to sell 3,928 shares of Inclone stock, which would end up avoiding a loss of about $45,673.
When he starts talking about
the
numbers,
I'm nodding like
we don't have to go into it.
know what you're talking about.
We don't have to go into it too much. Basically, she's bought stock in a company that is going, it's going to go under.
And
she
he's
pulls
saying,
out.
get rid of it. Now, that's legal, isn't it?
Well, it's insider trading because they knew something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll try and explain this in the best way. You pull me up if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This was suspicious.
What time did the train leave the station, though? Because that's where I'm getting mixed up. Yeah.
This was suspicious because one day later, the stock went plummeting. I won't go into too much detail, but basically the FDA refused to review a product of theirs, and so people started pulling their stocks out of the company. Martha had just pulled her stocks out, so it looked really suspicious. The Inclone CEO, Sam Waxel, had previously dated Martha's daughter. There were also reports that he dated Martha too, but she denied this.
It was just an affair.
Yeah. The CEO and Martha also happened to have the same stockbroker. And a day before the FDA denied the product, Sam asked his broker to sell his daughter's shares too. Phone records showed that the phone call between Martha and her stockbroker took place just after the broker sold Sam's daughter's shares. It was a bad look for Martha.
And how much money is all this worth? Like, how much money is she saving?
So $45,000. So for a billionaire, you'd think this isn't a lot for her.
So it's how much that she would... That's like what she would make in about a second and a half.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's bizarre that, and what I kind of said at the start, that it wasn't a lot of money for what she got done for. Yeah. 6 months later, Sam was arrested for insider trading, which means that you're selling stocks because you're aware of something that the public are not. You have to have a fair market. He pleaded guilty to this. The US attorney wanted to talk to Martha about her suspicious sales too. Martha said that her and her stockbroker had a deal that they would sell any stock that dipped below 60%. She released a statement, but the scandal was far from over. Her stock started plummeting. So her own stock in her own company. She dropped off the Forbes billionaire trading list. That's the big thing about this, is that Martha was the company. So anything that goes on with her, it's like the stock's going to go straight away. Now, Martha was not charged for insider trading, but she was charged for obstruction of justice and lying to investigators. The case was all about lying to the FBI and the investors. Martha pleaded not guilty, but had to step down as CEO of her own company, but she stayed on as Chief Creative Officer, which I am of my own company as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Same here.
One of her ex-employees, her assistant, said that Martha had altered the phone log of the call between her and her stockbroker and then quickly told the assistant to change it back. There's a lot of dodgy stuff happening. She's terrified.
It'd be beautiful calligraphy, though.
It would be really beautiful stuff. Many believe that the punishment was too harsh, even Martha describing herself as being a trophy. They needed an example of the first self-made woman billionaire. She lost a quarter of her net worth. The press had a field day. They wanted to take down the perfect person. She was made fun of on every talk show, with Dave Letterman in his opening monologue saying, "What a beautiful day in New York today. Isn't it fantastic? Here's how lovely it was today. Martha Stewart is doing her insider trading outside." Stuff like that. Yeah. Funny stuff. I probably didn't do it justice.
Surely there would have been a sketch with her in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, there was an SNL sketch.
Showing you how to scrap, how to make number plates.
Yeah, ashtrays.
There would have been one of those.
There's a really famous appearance that you've probably seen of her on the early show where Martha is there to cook and the host asks Martha about the headlines. Martha does not want to answer any questions. She just wants to make a chicken salad. The host, Jane, wants to address the elephant in the room. She says our good friend Martha Stewart has been in the headlines recently. Martha starts talking about the chicken salad. Martha then so she just ignores it.
I've seen Peter Dutton do. He did that move.
That's
They'd be asking him on Q&A and he'd just be continuing to make that chicken salad.
There's that great clip of Tony Abbott. You remember when he's asked a question and he says nothing, he just keeps nodding?
That is one of the most disturbing pieces of footage.
Yeah. Martha then explains that she's been involved in a scandal recently and is done talking about it. It's been too hurtful for her. It's been a source of comedy for far too long. I certainly hope the matter is resolved in the near future, says Martha. She tells Jane that she is confident she will be fine. Martha then says, with a forced smile, my employees and I are hard at work in making our company the best omni-media company in the world, Jane, and I want to focus on my salad because that's why we're here. It's so funny. I'll play a clip in here. It's so funny.
Can't wait to see that.
The New York Post runs the headline, Martha's Salad Days, while the Washington Post runs with, Stewart gets sliced up. The public takes this and runs with it. The moment goes viral. How would this homemaking queen go behind bars? She is taken to a prison in West Virginia. She is papped everywhere. Martha soon discovers it's no picnic in prison. She later writes she feels humiliated by being strip searched during her time in prison. Her stocks actually weirdly start to increase. Oh. So people kind of like her again. By the time she left, she had become a billionaire again. I guess it's because all the press around her at the time. She's back in the news. In 2005, Martha walked free, wearing a poncho knitted by a fellow inmate. That was fun.
So hang on. So how long did she serve then?
So she was in there for 5 months.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it wasn't
okay.
So she was sentenced to 5 months. She didn't get done for insider trading, but she did get done for some other stuff. Obstruction of justice.
Wouldn't have thought prisoners were allowed knitting needles, but fine.
I know. Yeah. It was finger knitting. Just that's another craft.
That's another craft. Yeah. She referred to it as an extended vacation, contemplating and working on new ideas. She said it was difficult, but also had some time off.
Right.
She had a low-rated spin-off of The Apprentice, and her magazine had started to struggle. In 2015, Martha is feeling down on her luck. Her luck is drying up. She gets an unusual request. She is invited to appear on the roast of Justin Bieber.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't this weird? I kind of don't understand why roasts have become a thing again in Australia now. We seem to be doing a roast of Carrie Bickmore, a roast of Tommy Little. Like, I don't know why roasts. Like, it's like Australian network television has just gone.
It's
you know what's
also-
popular? Roasts.
But what is even weirder is like when we're importing people to roast them, like John Cleese.
Oh, we had John Cleese out here, didn't we?
Why have we brought John Cleese halfway around the world just to
roast
tell
him?
heim he's a piece of shit?
From people that don't know him
Exactly.
as well. Yeah. That was really weird, wasn't it? I think it was Stephen Hall who does know.
Yeah, he
John
worked with him.
Cleese.
So
Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
that makes sense. But because I got asked to do that.
Did you? Yeah.
And I'm going, well, hang on, I've been a fan of John Cleese for like 40 or 50 years. Okay. So the first time I meet him is going to be me telling him what a piece of shit he is. That doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right, no.
No.
Justin is 21 at the time of the roast.
Oh, God.
In his bad boy era, whatever. The day of the roast, Martha walks on stage smiling. The room is packed with celebrities. Martha gets a lot of jokes about her age because, you know, in roasts, it's not just about the person being roasted.
No.
They also go, you're old. You suck.
Yeah.
You're fat. It's
Yeah.
all that sort. It's all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. I don't know if you've seen. There's a great documentary about Joan Rivers called A Piece of Work.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic, and it's just her down on her luck, going, "I'm not getting booked for anything," and she gets a Comedy Central roast, and she's like, "Oh fuck it, I'll do that." And she goes, "It's all going to be about her age," and it all is about her plastic surgery and everything. She's just sitting there, just going, "Yeah, I knew it would be about this." She takes the microphone and is hilarious. She teaches Justin how to make his own shank for when he inevitably ends up in prison.
Do you know what you say when someone serves you some shanks? Shanks a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Right? That's just
There you
for
go.
nothing.
That's for nothing.
That's roast quality.
Yeah.
That's roast quality. Martha gets a standing ovation.
Right.
I'll put a bit of the roast in here. I know you would love Norm Macdonald doing the roast. You've seen that clip.
That's
of him
exactly
doing-
what he does.
Do it, really badly. Doing
Right.
just a roast of someone really badly with old jokes.
It's
really
hilarious.
funny. It's now a new Martha Stewart. Martha spends 7 hours after the roast sitting next to Snoop Dogg, and they become unexpected friends.
Yeah, right.
That's where that...
Because she's got, credibility
Now she's got
from being on the inside.
That's
it,
right,
mate.
being on the inside.
She's still got her do-rag, Yeah.
They are booked together for game shows, talk shows, and appearances together as the new odd couple. Mr. Dog was quoted as saying, "I knew I wanted to be alongside this lady for the rest of my life."
Love it.
In 2016, Martha and Snoop released Potluck Dinner Party on TV. It's a hit and spawns a spin-off and a loyal fan base. The pair become a viral sensation at the 2024 Paris Olympics, wearing
Yes,
matching
that's it.
riding outfits at the dressage event.
Yeah.
Right, I did see that.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest sort of cookbook team up since Alan Jones and Mark Latham. Remember that one?
Yeah. What a great reference.
Doesn't that like Google that
Yeah,
book
oh
cover?
my
and
God.
It doesn't
doesn't
even
look
that
good.
long ago.
No.
And it looks very weird now. It's something like good friends, good times.
Yeah. Good friends, good times. In 2015, Martha sold her company for $353 million to a clothing brand called Sequential Brands. She stayed on as a key shareholder.
I thought
and
a
chief
quiche expert.
She stayed on as a quiche expert.
yeah.
Just put salami on it now.
Yeah.
And chief creative officer. In 2023, she is still making headlines as the oldest swimsuit model at the age of 81 for Sports Illustrated.
Really?
Netflix released a documentary about her life. She wasn't very thrilled with it, saying she looked like a lonely old lady and it focused too much on her court case.
Yeah.
At 83, she's worth $400 million with Snoop by her side. The Martha Stewart case is a landmark in corporate ethics and white-collar crime. While the financial damage from the incident was relatively minor, its symbolic importance was vast. Stewart's prosecution signalled to the public that a celebrity is not safe from the law. It also served as a precedent for holding high-profile individuals accountable for actions that undermine market integrity. So that is the story of Martha Stewart. Now, what do you think after hearing that? Isn't it bizarre that happened.
I just remember that back in the 80s, there were all these white-collar blokes
Yeah,
down. Was it Michael Milken or some sort of name like that? That's
okay,
probably
right.
not that. Haven't got that name wrong. But weren't most of them subsequently pardoned by Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Surely Martha could have that.
Oh, yeah, she should be
expunged.
pardoned. Yeah.
From her whole, out of her whole life and career, there's this little bit in there.
Slither
Yeah,
A slither.
of quiche.
that's right.
Yeah.
And you sort of, again, you do wonder.
It just
Yeah.
If
feels
that
like
was a bloke, that's going to be
exactly.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's illegal and
Yeah.
we can't
Yes.
condone it. But I'm going, people have gotten off for way worse stuff than
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Donald Trump for one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And you do see all the sketches and everything. She was kind of a punchline for a
Yeah.
very long time as well.
Yeah.
And now she kind of, I guess, reclaimed that with all the Snoop stuff and the roast
But
and
to
everything as well.
and also, just to not reinvent yourself, but to be still, standing and not have
Yeah.
fallen in a heap from all of that is quite extraordinary.
It's absolutely.
But there is like
She's strong.
we in this country have a bizarre tradition of like every few years I have to remind myself that there was a comedy tour, a stand-up comedy tour with Chopper Reed,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Roger Rogerson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger Rogerson.
Real Roger. Yeah.
From Blue Murder.
Yeah.
You know, the bloke who shoots Alex Dimitriadis dead in the street.
Yeah.
You go, and then he's obviously wasn't the real Alex Dimitriadis, but then he's on at the Comics Lounge.
Yeah.
I mean, that really happened.
With famous criminal Chopper Reed. Yeah.
Bizarre.
The
Isn't it
writing
nuts?
was on the wall when I did that. Another bullet dodge.
Yes.
Wednesday Night Fever with Ben Elton. And I played this character who, interviewed people, but I didn't know anything about them.
I hate to step in here, Genevieve, but you've confused two separate shows.
Oh, sorry. It was called Live from Planet Earth.
That was
Thank
a
you
di-
so much.
Were you?
Sorry.
Which one were you in?
Both.
Were you in both of them?
Yeah. But Live from Planet Earth, sorry, that was the Ben Elton one. And I was like a kind of Norman Gunston type, interviewer. And I had, so my first guest was Ruby Rose, right?
The real Ruby.
The real
Rose.
Ruby Rose. But I
Chopper
pretend
playing
like I
Ruby
don't
Rose.
know anything about her. The second one was Chris Smith, who used to be married to Danny Minogue, and he was he's English, rugby player, model, lovely. My third guest was Bryn Edelstein, right?
Really? Star of My Bedazzled Life.
Yeah. and then the guests that were being muted for the fourth ep for me,
Which didn't happen. Right.
were Chopper Reed
Oh, wow.
or Warwick Kappa. And anyway, the show was axed. So
You never had to do that.
bullet dodger.
Yeah.
That's so funny, but we do have a fascination with Chopper Reed, and we do have a fascination
Yeah.
with these people.
Yeah.
And Paul Newman was, I think, a big person in Australia that got done for some sort of
Paul
insider
Newman?
trading.
Paul
No,
Newman,
no, Paul Newman. Fucking hell.
For salad dressing
I
price.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Crocodile Dundee.
Hogan.
Paul
Yeah.
Hogan. Sorry, not Paul Newman.
Yeah, there
Paul
was a
Hogan
tax-
there was a tax thing
Yeah.
happening
Yeah,
with
I
him.
forgot
and-
about
But
that.
I mean, there's a massive, difference between white collar crimes and
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah.
or,
That's
or,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
assaulting and
Chopper Reed had just stuck to insider trading. He still
he
would
was-
have had
yeah, he's a
both
good
his
boy.
ears.
Top of his game. Yeah. Now, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast without the great Georgia Love today.
Well,
So
thanks for
cheers.
telling us the story, Sam.
yeah.
I actually knew nothing about this
Yeah.
until now. So
Same.
I'll tell you all
Great.
about it. Now, you both have projects that I want to talk about. So, Jen, you are going to be in the new Melbourne Theatre Company. Is it the first time it's been in Melbourne?
It's the first time it's been on stage.
Been on stage.
Yeah.
So there's a premiere.
It's
Dying a Memoir?
correct. It's called Dying a Memoir, which is based on a book. It's adapted by Benjamin Law for the stage, and we'll be on in
October, November.
Yeah, in October, November.
Yeah.
And who's in it with you?
Just me.
Oh, just
It's a one-woman
you.
show.
Yeah, so it's
Oh.
based on a book by Corey Taylor, who was a writer and screenwriter and who died of melanoma. And it's but it's not all sad and dark. But it's a beautiful book. It's an
Yeah.
amazing book. So so that's quite exciting.
And are you moving about the stage?
Don't know yet.
Because Judith Lucy was
Oh, yeah.
she was in a play at the MTC.
I
and
saw
she was,
that.
it was Samuel Beckett, I think, and she was buried
In a piece of moon rock.
up
Oh,
to her
that's
waist.
right, yes.
Yeah,
No, I'll be moving. I
You'll
won't
be
moving. I'll make sure I'll get my steps up.
You get your
tell
money,
ya.
your money's worth.
Oh,
for
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tony Martin, you have a wonderful podcast called Sizzletown.
It's
which-
still
How
going.
long has it been going for
This
now?
is year 8.
Year 8.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Thought it was close to 10. Yeah, year
That's
8,
right.
yeah.
Coming up to episode 100, and it's just me talking to myself. As I think I play 72 people, someone claims.
Someone claims.
Although, as Ed Cavalier says, yeah, but there's only about 11 voices. A lot of the characters
all
do
you need.
sound the same. But, yeah, that's still available.
It's always available because you keep going.
And I do another one with...
From the Hideout.
called From the Hideout with Joe Vincaro,
Yeah.
who's 25 years younger than me, and Pete Smith, who's 25 years older than me.
Yeah.
In fact,
so
Pete just
great.
turned 86. He's unstoppable.
Oh
It's
my
amazing.
God. He's so
the
funny, that great
golden
Pete
voice.
Smith. Yeah.
I don't
what a
think he's
voice.
been involved in any true crime.
Let's see if he's been done
That
for
we
insider
know
trading.
of.
There's
That we know
some,
of.
there's some dodgy stuff going on in the Sale of the Century gift shop
Yeah.
at one point.
Thank you so much, Genevieve Morris, for joining us on Not Another Crime podcast.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Martin.
Thanks, Sam.